The Amazing Digital Circus looked completely different before the pilot came out, and most people have no idea how much changed during development. Gooseworks posted concept art on Twitter right after the pilot dropped, and between those drawings and everything she said on Tumblr and at panels, here's what the show was supposed to look like before it became what we know. Gooseworks originally pitched 3 different show concepts to Glitch, and all of them were in 2D. But Glitch didn't really have the resources for a full 2D production at the time, so 2 weeks later, Goose came back with a 4th concept built entirely around 3D animation from scratch, and that concept became the Amazing Digital Circus. Pomni was a boy and a frog. You wondered what she looked like? Well, Gooseworks actually showed us. This was Pomni's first design. She doesn't look like a circus member at all. She looks way thinner and kinda creepy. Gooseworks wanted the main character to be relatable, and her first version was a male frog, but at some point she realized the main character of a show called The Amazing Digital Circus should actually look like she belongs in a circus, and a frog has nothing to do with a circus. So she scrapped the frog and rebuilt the character as a jester, and changed the gender from male to female at the same time. But the frog design never fully disappeared from the show, because if you look at Ribbit, she has the same round cheeks and short eyelashes as Pomni. Gooseworks probably liked the design too much to completely get rid of it, so she turned it into a different character instead. We can also see this little clown. We still don't know who he was. Pomni, Kaufmo, or someone completely different. Kaufmo was supposed to be one of the main characters. Gooseworks had too many people in the main lineup, and after creating Jax, she realized Jax filled the role she had planned for Kaufmo, so she decided to kill Kaufmo off in the pilot to make room. That's why he abstracts in the first episode before we get to know him. He was always going to go early, but in an earlier version of the show, he would have been around for multiple episodes with a full arc. And that's probably why he has a clown design similar to Pomni, because Pomni and Kaufmo were originally the main characters, but Jax ended up taking his place. In a different timeline, Kaufmo has the arc that Jax has now, and Jax might have been the one who abstracted in the pilot. And by the way, Kaufmo's original name wasn't Kaufmo, it was Kaufman, since we can see a sketch of Ragatha talking about him and calling him Kaufman. Jax was a girl. When Pomni went from male to female, Jax went from female to male in the same swap. Gooseworks actually confirmed it on Twitter. When someone asked why Jax's design has eyelashes, she replied, "Female Jax and male Pomni were things I considered at one point." We can also see a lot of early Jax designs. One of them only has one eye, another one looks like a plush toy, and one even has an abstracted eye, exactly like in episode 7 when he almost abstracted. And Jax also used to have a slightly longer neck. Ragatha's name during development was Emmy, and Gooseworks changed it before the pilot came out without ever saying why. Her design stayed close to what we see in the series because she was always a ragdoll based on the animated movie Raggedy Ann and Andy. But one major thing got cut, which is that Ragatha was supposed to have plush organs inside her body. Every time Ragatha took damage, you would have seen cotton and toy intestines spilling out of her, and it got removed during development. We can also see 2 cuter designs for Ragatha. They show a smaller ragdoll version of her, one with 2 button eyes and another one with both eyes looking normal. Zooble is interesting because the design is very similar to Gooseworks' own YouTube icon and the characters from her old animations Elaine the Bounty Hunter and Elaine Gets Adopted. The geometric triangle head is actually a style Gooseworks had been using for years before TADC even existed. But for Zooble, it looks like she may have had a hard time choosing between this triangle version and this other one, which honestly looks more like a worm. At the Glitch X Amma, she said the design would change every episode, with different parts swapped out, but the head and bean body would always stay the same. Even the icon on Zooble's door in the hallway has different parts than what we see in the pilot, and Gooseworks confirmed that's intentional, because Zooble changes parts so often that even the door icon can't keep up. And their antenna twitch whenever they're upset, which is a detail most people miss, but it's been there since the pilot. For Gangle, we don't really have anything to say because her design never really changed from what we know. She was always the ribbon girl with the theater masks. But here's a fun fact. In one of the promo photos that Glitch posted, you can actually see Gangle's room. And on the wall, she has all her broken comedy masks stored like a collection. And one of those broken masks looks exactly like the Dorselessness face from Blue Channel Thalasson, which is an analog horror short that Gooseworks made years before TADC even existed. Kane looked way creepier before the pilot. In the early concept art, his teeth were actual realistic teeth instead of the cartoonish dentures he has now. and the whole vibe of the show was a lot darker and scarier. All the characters had this unsettling edge to them that got toned down during development to create that gap between the cute surface and the dark story that ended up being the whole identity of the show. And there was a version of Cain where his eyes were above his mouth instead of where they are now, which made him look even more wrong. Gooseworks clearly started with designs that looked creepy right away, then changed them into something more cute and friendly on the surface. That way, the horror hits harder later, because you don't expect it from characters that look like toys. For Kinger, the design stayed pretty much the same chess piece king we know, but in the early concept art, he had that same realistic, unsettling look that all the other characters had. The overall feel was colder and less friendly before they softened everything up to match the cartoon circus vibe. Albert Spudsy looked completely different in the concept art. The early version was actually pretty cute and harmless looking, but the version we got in the show is this creepy mascot that stares into your soul. The restaurant itself is based on the actual McDonald's where Gooseworks worked for 5 years before getting fired for showing up late, and the layout of Spudsy's in episode 4 is all pulled from her real memories of working there. Episode 3 is already the scariest episode of the show, with the Haunted Mansion and the Angel. But the concept art shows that the early versions were even worse. There's a humanoid version of the Angel with wings, and there's a smiling version that is the worst thing I've ever seen in TADC. The heads that are attached to the wall in the mansion are also way scarier in the concept art than what we got in the episode. Zubal's head literally has an eye dangling out of it. Ragatha's one looks like it came straight out of a nightmare. And Jax's one is actually really funny because he has these massive teeth, since he already has big teeth in the show. The 3D model of the Angel is also terrifying, but it's way more chill compared to the 2D concept art. And honestly, looking at the final episode, I think Gooseworks went easy on us. Because if she had kept some of these original designs, the episode would have been unwatchable for some people. There are also concept arts of that cute little ghost character who hasn't changed at all between the concept art and the final version. And we see a 3D model of the interior of the mansion that also stayed pretty much the same. So some things survived development untouched, and some things got toned down significantly. And after seeing the originals, I'm grateful she made that call. Gooseworks also posted the blueprints of the circus tent itself. The side view shows 5 floors with the doors to the characters' rooms on the right side, a spiral staircase in the middle, a stage with a backstage area on the left, a medieval castle, and at the very top, Cain's little nest hanging from the ceiling with a note that says, "Funny little crow's nest. Maybe there's a little cafe inside," which is probably where the cafe from episode 8 ended up. We can see what looks like an early version of the abstracted characters, but Gooseworks eventually went with the design we know today. And the design looks very similar to the Elders of the Lost Eyes. And to end the video, here's some bonus pictures I couldn't really talk about.
My heart.